It's part of infidelity.
She is no longer heir to the crown.
Madness.
There's the launch of Netflix's dark and grief-drenched comedy Dead to Me, HBO's limited series on the catastrophe at Chernobyl, and Sundance TV's experiment with bite-sized TV, State of the Union, and a new installment on Starz' royal franchise with the Spanish princess. Quite a range, radioactive and all. But which one will be the one you just are not going to want to miss?
Spain and England unite against our enemies so that my son is protected on his throne.
Until that girl arrives, we are lost.
Centering on a new POV on the tale of Catherine of Aragon, portrayed by Charlotte Hope, The Spanish Princess is the third series based on Philippa Gregory's best-selling historical novel series that the premium cable has aired. Despite the lovely look of the Emma Frost and Matthew Graham Stroh-run Spanish Princess and its aim to shine a light on the lives of people of color in 16th century England and the royal court, the 8-episode limited series is a lot more slow and show than tell and slides from medieval geopolitical and personal intrigue to tedium, Tudor style and all.
If it wasn't for me, we wouldn't be here.
No.
Just no?
Yes, just no. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here.
There's a bit more to it than that, isn't there?
Having previewed at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year, Sundance TV's bite-sized State of the Union is content and a concept still in a state of evolution, I'd say. While the execution of the 10 episodes of 10 minutes each from Nick Hornby and Stephen Frears and starring the eminently well-paired Rosamund Pike and Chris O'Dowd as a long-married couple who are bordering on, well, I'd say their own emotional civil war, is an eminently watchable dramedy, the gimmick, so to speak, actually adds little to what is at best viewed as a 100-minute feature in small-screen clothing, even with the literal and figurative Brexit in the background.
Just heat it up at 300 and leave it in for 35 minutes.
Thanks, Karen.
It's my take on Mexican lasagna.
Great.
Jeff and I can't imagine what you're going through.
Well, it's like if Jeff got hit by a car and died suddenly and violently. Like that.
If State of the Union is couples therapy in action, Dead to Me is mourning in stilted motion. Created by Liz Feldman and produced by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, the Netflix comedy is more a funeral home hall of mirrors, with Bloodline vet Linda Cardellini and Christina Applegate bounced around as two ill-matched women who face their respective grief together despite their very different approaches to almost everything. Look, Cardellini and Applegate are so good that they can make almost anything work. But that's hard for even these pros, when Dead to Me isn't really sure, from what I've seen, what it's about, or even what kind of show it wants to be. Making a sudden turn from funny in a kind of Grace and Frankie way to a borderline procedural, which after a promising start, then gets caught in its own quicksand. The series, well, to be honest, became dead to me. Which leads me to what is the show you have to watch this week? Well, it has to be the harrowing and incredibly poignant Chernobyl.
I'm pleased to report that the situation in Chernobyl is stable. In terms of radiation, I'm told it's the equivalent of a chest X-ray.
No, Chernobyl is on fire. And every atom of uranium is like a bullet.
Having premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival last week, the 5-part Stellan Skarsgård, Jared Harris, and Emily Watson-led series from Craig Mazin is a classic telling of the real story behind the story you thought you knew. In this case, the global threatening explosion of the Soviet nuclear reactor in the 1980s. Now weaving together several storylines from de facto first responders, the patched-together cannon fodder cleanup crews of soldiers and civilians, and mind-numbingly bureaucratic incompetence from the bottom right to the top at the Kremlin. I will say no more about Chernobyl, so there's no spoilers, except to say you have to see it. And it is sometimes blisteringly hard to watch, I will grant you. HBO has delivered some truly excellent television here. And excellence is never to be missed, this week or anytime.